So, for your first solve, you did yellow cross, which is the correct move, as the white cross, as you can see here, is pretty terrible. However, the way you did the yellow cross was also terrible, funnily enough. So the way I did it is like this, facing red, and first you did D prime to solve this one, then R2, L2 to solve these two, and for this last cross edge, instead of doing it like this, instead did F to take it out to the top, then solve it at the back right here, and then F prime to bring the red one, which yeah, we're gonna work on that one, definitely. Then your first pair was this one, blue-orange, which was the correct move. It's a very easy pair to do. However, instead of putting it at the back like this, you actually put it at the front, which is a terrible move, because when you put it at the back, then you have way more vision for the other three pairs, and you ended up doing a white rotation anyway, so yeah, that was definitely a bad move. Then your next pair was this one, green-red, and here the correct move would have been to bring this slot back here and then solve the corner using keyhole, but instead you did it the regular way, which again is a bad move, considering that this slot was perfectly fine and free. Then for your third pair, you did this one, which again I have no problems with. And finally your last pair was this one, which I have no problems with. And here for OO, you did 2 lock, which personally is fine given that you get a U-perm, but I think it's still important to know this OO because it's not really that difficult. So the objectively correct algorithm for this one goes like this. And you're left with the U-perm again. Now, what I'll do in this cell, for this solve in particular, is again yellow cross, but I'll first do an R prime to solve the orange cross piece opposite from the red one, then put them both where they belong with another G prime, and then R prime L2 to solve the other two. Heck, there's even a better solution, because if you do this move and then do the cross, then you actually have a relatively easy pair for the first one. Oh, and look at that, you also have a free pair, even better. Then in this situation I'll do this pair first, orange and blue, and finally this one the same way, but end with a sledgehammer to prevent a dot case. Now for this OO, you can do it one of 4 ways. So the first one is lefty like this, which is a decent answer. Then the second way is what I'd like to call the Max Park way, which is the same arc but from this angle, which is a bit tougher to execute, which is why I don't really like it. Then the third way is like this, so R prime, U prime, double sledge, which again I wouldn't really recommend because it's difficult to execute. But my personal way out of the 4 is from this angle and using this algorithm. And you're left with an R prime. So for the second solve, you did white cross, which is the correct move because yellow is terrible. However, once again, your solution was kind of off-putting, to say the least. So you first did D, L, D to solve these two, then an R prime, and lastly you do the rotation, which first of all, rotations should never be used for the cross. So this is a general rule of thumb for any cross. But also, even if you rotate, instead of doing it like this, the traditional way, instead did it like this again to put it at the top, and you solved it like this, which I'm seeing a pattern here, believe it or not. Anyway, so your first pair was this one, which is an okay pair. I personally would have gone for this one or this one, but again, you went for this one. However, again, the way I did it is first by rotating like this to pair it up, and then rotating back to insert it at the back. And here, normally you should never rotate twice for the same pair. Again, it's another general rule of thumb regarding rotations. So if I were you, instead I would do it like this, which saves you both rotations, funnily enough. Then your next pair was this one, which I don't really have a problem with. Personally, again, I would have went for this one because it's fewer moves, but this one is also fine. Then here we have another problem. First of all, because you went for this pair instead of this one, which is a way easier one. And secondly, because even if I wanted to do this one, instead of going like this and doing it the standard way, instead I would have done it like this, because this slot is free, and then insert it like here. But again, you chose to do it the classic way. And lastly, for this pair, I have pretty much no problems. Therefore, OO and PO, this is perfectly fine the way I did it. But one thing I'd like to point out though is that for this OO in particular, when these two colors are opposite and these two match, then you already should know that this is going to skip corners. But an even better tip, for this case in particular, you should already know that this block is gonna go here, this one is gonna go here, and this one is gonna go here. So you should immediately predict what PO you should get, and then go into it instantly without any pauses. So what I'll do for this solve, again going for white cross because it's the better option. First of all, I see a block here, which means that I'm looking also for a possibility for an X cross, and the edge is here, which is actually in a better spot than you think. So first of all, I would do this to almost solve the cross. You still have these two to take care of, which is what I'm going to do right now. And then lastly, we have this edge, and here you could do it like this, but personally I would do it like this in order to also set up this free pair. And actually here, after doing this pair at the back, I'm also going to cancel it to a sledgehammer for this pair right here, because the optimal way to do it like this is with a sledge. And lastly, for this pair, in order to prevent myself from doing rotations, I'm going to do it in a really fancy way, but it's also like really funny. So like this, and it also solves my top cross. And here I'm going to do just COLL to get my corner solved, and then POL. Now for your third solve, here you did yellow cross, and personally I would have slightly preferred white, but again, when I talk about my personal solution, I will focus on both crosses because both of them have some interesting stuff. So first of all, you did your yellow cross like this. So first of all, L to solve this one, B2 to solve this one, and then inserted this one and this one, which is almost ideal, but you know, there's still room for improvement regarding your cross. So your first pair was this one, which is the perfect one, I guess. Yeah, it's the better one from the two. Insert it back like usual. Your second pair was this one, which was actually perfect. And here your next pair was this one, which was a bit questionable, because I personally would have preferred this one. And actually what you can do here is, when you pair it up, then instead of solving it like usual, you can actually do it like this, and then set up a free pair for your last one. But even if I wanted to do this pair first, instead, another way I could have done it is insert the edge and then insert the corner with keyhole, and this also gives me a free pair. But anyways, you did it like this, which is, you know, a terrible solution, but hey, whatever. That's why you're watching this video, right? To get better. Anyway, and for the last pair, you did it the classic way, and here personally I would have instead done it like this in order to get a soft cross on top. But anyway, you did it like this and you got a lucky to escape, so I guess it doesn't really matter in the end. Now, regarding my solutions, first of all, for white cross, I see that you can actually do it really quickly because, you know, these three cross edges, so green, orange and blue, actually follow the pattern of the centerpieces, so green, orange, blue, which basically means that if you put this one at the back, which one is already soft, and you do it like this, then you actually get a really fast cross. However, what I also notice is this F2 edge right here, which again you can turn into an X cross because it's soft pretty much automatically, and the corner is right here, and here what I will do is solve this one, and then instead of doing an L2, I would actually do L prime U, L prime to bring it to the top. And I actually notice this free pair, which I'm going to do first, because if I do this one, then this one is going to ruin it, so it's going to get ruined. So here I'm going to finish with a wide U move in order to insert this one at the back, then solve this one with keyhole, free pair. And for this case, what you should do is, since this top cross edge is misoriented, what you should do is the standard solution. So normally for this pair, you should learn how to do it in various ways in order to get a soft cross on top, and here do it the zero, because of course. Now, if I were to do a yellow cross on this scramble, what I will do is start from this position with green on front, and first of all start with a wide R move, and then do U prime and D2. First of all, solve this cross edge, and second of all to set up these two cross edges like this. And while doing so, I was also tracking this pair, which I can just do like this, put it in the back. Then my next pair is going to be this one, because this one is terrible and this one is even worse. So do this one, solve at the back, then this one like usual. And now for this one, normally when you have last pair, you should learn some fancier ways in order to prevent rotation. And for this case, what I can do is do it like this, set it up into this case, and then do it like this to prevent myself from doing rotation. And then OL and PRL. So for this solve you did yellow cross, though personally I would have preferred white because it's slightly easier, but we're going to go over solution first anyways. So here you first solved this one and set up this one, but then here you rotate it, which again you should never do for cross, but then you solved these two and again solve this last cross edge the same way you did for solve number 2. Then here you did a double rotation, probably because you have it, which again you should try to do is the least amount of rotations after the cross, ideally 0, maximum 1. but then you noticed this pair, which is actually the the best pair to do it as your first pair because it's easy and quick. And then here you did these three moves for whatever reason, which confused me really. Then you did this pair, and again, even you have this free slot right here at the back, which means that you could have just set them up like this, but instead you just did the standard solution and inserted. Then while inserting it, you probably noticed this pair, which is why you immediately did it afterwards. And again, I have really no problems with that whatsoever. And your last pair was this one, which again I have no problems with. And then OL, POL. Now, like I said, here I would have done white cross because it's slightly easier in my opinion. So first of all, what I can do is set up these two cross edges. So these ones are already set up, and here I'm also going to do D prime to preserve this pair, and then solve blue, solve green, and then at the same time do F to get this pair to the top, and B prime to set up this cross edge, and then D prime R, and then here immediately do this one because I don't see any better options. Then here this pair and this pair, this one, both of them need rotation, so I'm going to rotate and solve this one at the back. And then you might be tempted to do this pair first with keyhole, but this pair is actually a little bit better, and it also sets up into a 3-mover anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then I'm sorry, I have to. For your last solve, here you did yellow cross, which again was the better move because it's incredibly easy, and white is it's alright, but yeah, yellow is objectively the better option here. So here you did very similar to what I would have done. So first you did L to solve this one, then you did U, R prime, F to solve these two, and lastly D, L, D prime to solve this one, which is the better move. Then your first pair was this one, which I maybe would have gone for this one first, but you did go for this one. And again, since this slot at the back here is free, you can just do it like this, but instead you just did it the regular way, like this. Then here you did a double rotation, again out of habit probably, and also because you didn't really find anything, but anyway, you did this pair first, which honestly might be the better one, though I probably would have gone for this one first, but you did go for this one, which I'd say I probably have no problems with. Then you did this pair, which I don't really have any problems with. And then lastly for this one, you should know when you see that these two are misoriented, you should instantly know that if you pair it up, then you can actually cancel into a sledgehammer and get a cross on top. But instead you just did it the standard way, OL and POL. Now for my solution, again, I would have done something very similar to what you did. So I would have done this first. I would have set up this cross edge first, solve blue, solve green, solve orange, and then solve red in the end. Now here, you might be tempted to do this pair first, but I'm actually going to do this one first because it actually doesn't break up this pair at all, and it's also relatively quick and easy to do. Then this one, and then here you have this pair and this pair, and here if you do this pair first, you should know that this one doesn't involve any rotations and actually is AOU, which means that it doesn't do anything to the cross edges in terms of orientation. So here for this pair, instead of doing it like this, or like this. Instead, I would have gone for this solution to get myself a cross on top. And here, this is actually a really funny case, which doesn't happen often, but I still think you should know it. So for this F12 case in particular, when you get an O, I guess, like this, where these two are headlights and this one is facing the opposite direction and this one is facing up, you should know that if you hold it from this angle, we're actually going to get an O skip, which is a really cool trick. And then lastly, POL. So, to summarize, I'm going to give you 2 basic and 2 advanced tips in order to help you improve. First of all, make sure to improve your crosses. Now, granted, this is going to take a while to get used to, but don't worry, I was also in that spot where at first my crosses were just terrible, but after a while, after watching many walkthrough solves and whatnot, I actually got relatively quick at doing my crosses and relatively efficient. And secondly, you should know whether a pair requires a rotation or not, and the easiest way to do so is to see if the edge of said pair matches one of the colors of the sides. So for example, this one, the color here is green, which doesn't match neither orange nor red, which means that typically when you get it not exactly as a last pair, but as a first, second, or third pair, you should do like this in order to solve it. And when it comes to advanced tips, first of all, what I would recommend is to make sure to try to get a cross on top whenever you can. So for example, for this pair, instead of doing it the usual way like this, instead you should do it like this in order to get a cross on top, or in this case soft last layer. And also I do recommend learning a couple of ZVOs, not really all of them because there are way too many, but a couple from the fast and quick to recognize ones, I'd say, are definitely recommended. So I really would recommend to start with the RU cases because they're relatively quick to execute and to recognize, and then go from there. But really don't learn too many because most of them you probably won't even use. So that's it really for my tips. I hope you learned a thing or two and that you get better over time. See ya.